Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by Virginia College Savings Plan. Save for tomorrow's higher education expenses with Virginia 529's 4 flexible tax-advantaged college savings plans. Details at virginia529.com. And by the Greater Richmond Chamber Save Low Fares campaign. Richmond is in danger of becoming one of America's most expensive airports again. Flying AirTran, Southwest, and JetBlue supports airline competition. Details at savelowfares.com. And by Haley Buick GMC, located at 9811 Midlothian Turnpike, offering new and pre-owned vehicles, financing options, service, parts, and accessories. HaleyBuickGMC.com, taking it to the streets.
Laying out with a headlong dive. Did he make that catch? It's Laaser. And Laaser with a miraculous catch. Duran kicks and fires. Swing and a miss. He struck him on with a changeup. And the Squirrels are the champs in the West.
We are putting the grand finale here on this episode of Flying Squirrels Insider. Hello everyone, Anthony Oppermann coming to you from the Diamond for this final edition of Flying Squirrels Insider for the 2012 season. And it's not just the location that's grand, we've also got an audience. We strategically planned this, having the Flying Squirrels baseball camp going on while we tape this edition of Flying Squirrels Insider. In addition to all that, we've also got talk about the Flying Squirrels and their wild card chase in the Western Division. Also losing a key member, Tommy Joseph, to the Philadelphia Phillies in the Hunter Pence deal that the Giants made. We'll talk about that with my broadcast partner, John Laaser, coming up. Also, in celebration of the London Olympics, we've also got the Flying Squirrels Olympics. See rare athleticism from the hometown nine. And we've also got a sit-down conversation with Tom Vessella, the guy who planned so many of the skits and sketches involving Flying Squirrels players and coaches throughout the course of Flying Squirrels Insider. All of that and more coming up. The final edition of Flying Squirrels Insider coming to you from the Diamond. Here as we wrap up the 2012 season of the show. As we continue, I'm joined now by my broadcast partner, John Laaser. And Laaser, obviously things heating up here on the set, also heating up in the wild card chase. The Flying Squirrels neck and neck with the Bowie Bay Sox for a second straight year for a postseason berth in the Eastern League.
It's played out really just how you would want it to as a Flying Squirrels fan this year, because the Flying Squirrels and the Bowie Bay Sox, who have really emerged atop of that wild card chase, both very young at the beginning of the season and both getting more experience into the second half, starting to play good baseball, also both infused with a veteran presence for the Flying Squirrels, Russ Mitchell, Mark Minikazi, Daniel Maiora, who's been here all season long, and for the Bowie Bay Sox, adding a number of players with major league experience into that order. And also you had the added intrigue of the trade deadline, which we've discussed at length on this show, that hit the Flying Squirrels, as we're about to talk about with Tommy Joseph. One thing we didn't foresee, however, as we come into the final 3 weeks of the season and the Flying Squirrels and the Bay Sox running neck and neck, Manny Machado called up to the big leagues last night by the Baltimore Orioles. Not going to say he was the heart and soul of that Bowie Bay Sox offense, but he was definitely one of the spark plugs. We'll see how they adjust to that, as the Flying Squirrels have had to adjust to a big loss in the middle of their order.
Well, you talk about that, and obviously prospects like Manny Machado and Tommy Joseph, while their numbers may not be overly impressive at times, especially as they adjust to this level at a young age, there is a reason why they're so highly thought of, and just their sheer presence in the order changes the way that you approach a team, and specifically when you approach them in terms of pitching to that lineup. Just talk about the impact that Tommy Joseph being traded away to the Philadelphia Phillies in the Hunter Pence deal has on this Flying Squirrels lineup and the way teams attack them.
Well, it has a huge impact in a number of different areas for the Flying Squirrels, because Tommy Joseph, your cleanup hitter, so you take that guy out of the order, and that affects everybody. All of a sudden, everyone has to move up a spot. Instead of batting sixth, which Juan Perez was doing for most of the season, he's hitting fifth. Now, he's handling that well, but at the same time, that also bumps Mark Minikazi into that primary role offensively, rather than the secondary role that he was enjoying, trying to clean up after Daniel Maiora and Tommy Joseph in the order. Now, with Tommy Joseph, you expound upon that because he has such an impact on this pitching staff as well. At 21 years of age, for the last couple of weeks, 20 years old, he had done a remarkable job with this pitching staff, including some of the younger, inexperienced hurlers in the bullpen. Johnny Manel's going to have to pick up that slack. You talk about a quarterback on the football field, and really in baseball, as we know, that's the catcher position. Also, Tommy Joseph, being the prospect that he is, being the ambassador in the community that he was really the heart and soul of this team. There's other guys that form that core, but you lose that, you lose something. We've seen the Flying Squirrels dip the couple of days after, as Tommy Joseph was here with the R-Phils and taking it to some of his former teammates. But at the same time, we've seen them rebound now when coming home. I think the Flying Squirrels were in a good position to deal with it with what they had in the clubhouse, namely Johnny Manel to take over, and I think they're in a good position going forward. Tommy Joseph also, I think, will blossom quickly in the Philadelphia Phillies system. We wish him nothing but the best.
And certainly, as we talked about a couple of shows back, I mean, this is the business of baseball, and for the San Francisco Giants, as Fred Stanley indicated in the Times-Dispatch, the goal is to win a World Series. And yes, you hate to part with a bright young catching prospect like Tommy Joseph, but the reality of the situation is right now they want to win and win now. They've got the pieces in place to win now. Hunter Pence hopefully will help them achieve that at the big league level. And in order to get something, you have to give up something.
And you had to give up something big. I've talked to Shane Turner, I've talked to Fred Stanley, the top two minor league instructors for the Giants, and they both said, are we going to see Tommy Joseph hurting us at some point in the National League playoffs down the road? Maybe, and probably, because they think the world of Tommy Joseph, but you're absolutely right. You're going to see that with the Nationals and Steven Strasburg, what they're forced to do or maybe forced not to do in terms of shutting him down, because it's an invaluable thing to get to the postseason. Monetarily, yes, but for your fan base as well. Also, add in this year the fact that the Los Angeles Dodgers didn't necessarily force the Giants' hand. The Giants aren't going to be an organization backed into a corner, but at the same time, LA came out and said, we have new ownership, we have new life, we want to be a player in the National League West. They made some big acquisitions. Giants needed to do something. You've seen Pence not exactly light the world on fire in his first week plus with the Giants, but at the same time, Giants offense 15 runs last night as they open up their lead in the National League West to a game and a half. It's going to be fun coming down the stretch for all parties involved, and again, that includes Tommy Joseph, who suddenly is thrust into the limelight here on the East Coast, and we've seen that blow up on Twitter and some of the videos that we've shot, including his hitting lesson here on Flying Squirrels Insider.
Now, you talk about the San Francisco Giants being in a neck-and-neck race with Los Angeles Dodgers. Certainly the Flying Squirrels in the midst of that here in the Eastern League. And, you know, we've talked about it a number of times in the radio broadcast, but the identity of this team is its pitching, and really its starting pitching. And if they're going to have success, the starters are definitely going to have to carry the way.
And they have carried the way. Make no mistake about it. This has been a starting pitching rotation that has carried the back end. There are some quality arms in the bullpen. Brett Bochy's having a fantastic season. Darryl Madej's been that veteran presence. And we've seen the emergence of Tom Vessella, not only in his acting roles and his directing roles here on Flying Squirrels Insider, but on the mound he's having an awesome campaign as well. But it is the starting pitching that leads this ball club. We knew that going into the season that it was going to be. We didn't know that it was going to be this good. Mike Kickham on an absolute roll right now, including 7 no-hit innings earlier this week against the Harrisburg Senators, one of the finest pitching performances I've seen at the AA level, and it came on the heels of another fine pitching performance that we saw on this level, and that's Mike Kickham actually arriving at the ballpark via chopper right now because that's the status that he has obtained. Chris Heston, though, making his last start here and looking a lot like the guy from the first half who was otherworldly and leading the Flying Squirrels seemingly to victory every 5 days. It's going to be a huge part of it. And don't forget, Justin Fitzgerald, the anchor of this starting rotation, has been spectacular since the All-Star break as well.
I want to jump back to Mike Kickham real quick, not just because he was arriving here in a helicopter, but also because of the fact that, you know, here's a guy that, again, something we've talked about at the radio broadcast, he has changed not only who he's been on the mound, but also just his appearance and everything about him seems to have changed and has grown since the opening day of the season till now. Just what a tremendous growth, and this is part of the fun of minor league baseball.
It's been fantastic to see Mike Kickham evolve on and off the hill as Mike Kickham has sheared the locks. That was a big thing for him earlier this season. Put on the prescription glasses and looks like a completely different guy on the hill. We were discussing it on the radio broadcast during his last start. He just has a different demeanor when he's pitching right now as opposed to the guy who maybe was unsure of himself at the beginning of the season, and there was good reason for that. He didn't have a lot of success in the South Atlantic League last year, specifically with his command, and he was asked to jump over the California League and not only contribute to this starting staff, but be one of the stars of this starting starting staff. He's been that of late. He is pitching with a confidence that we haven't seen from him over the course of the season. We're starting to see that dynamic and electric stuff play itself out on a nightly basis. He's become the guy that when he takes the hill, you're thinking, we're going to win tonight, but you're also thinking, we might see something special tonight, which we nearly did a few days back.
Before I let you go, Lace, one last question. The Flying Squirrels make the playoffs because?
The Flying Squirrels make the playoffs because their starting staff is so good, and they're going to play a lot of close games coming down the stretch. Every team in the division has gotten hot and then fallen back. We saw the Senators out front early in that wild card chase, win 8 games in a row. They've been decimated. The Bowie Bay Sox, they also got hot offensively. They strung together a series of victories to take command of that wild card. Squirrels did so also, winning 9 of 10 at one point. But when it boils down to it, starting pitching wins. It doesn't matter what level of baseball it is. San Francisco Giants are a perfect model of that, with one of the poorest offensive teams in the National League over the last couple of years, but they win because they have dominant starters. Squirrels do as well. Chris Heston back in form, Justin Fitzgerald, Mike Kickham, and oh, by the way, you've got Craig Westcott and Chris Glore being one of the fantastic stories of the season. At the end of the day, starting pitching carries the day. Squirrels in this division have the best rotation, and there's no argument to be made there.
Lace, it's been a fun 10-episode run here on Flying Squirrels Insider. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And the good thing is we still have a month of the season to go, so even though we're calling it a season for Flying Squirrels Insider, still got a lot of baseball to be played. It's going to be fun down the stretch.
It definitely is. I'm glad that the fans get to see the blood, sweat, and tears from our crew. They're out here today doing a fantastic job, and they get to see the sweat and maybe tears later in the episode from us.
John Laaser joined us here on Flying Squirrels Insider. Always unique insights from Laaser. Speaking of unique, you admire the athleticism of all the athletes participating in the Olympics over in London. Well, I guess we'll admire the athleticism of the Flying Squirrels participating in their own version of the Olympics. That's coming up.
Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by Virginia College Savings Plan. Save for tomorrow's higher education expenses with Virginia 529's 4 flexible tax-advantaged college savings plans. Details at virginia529.com. And by the Greater Richmond Chamber Save Low Fares campaign. Richmond is in danger of becoming one of America's most expensive airports again. Flying AirTran, Southwest, and JetBlue supports airline competition. Details at savelowfares.com. And by Haley Buick GMC, located at 9811 Midlothian Turnpike, offering new and pre-owned vehicles, financing options, service, parts, and accessories. HaleyBuickGMC.com, taking it to the streets.
Hey, did you guys see Flying Squirrels Insider last night?
Yeah, that Laaser guy don't know what he's talking about. Saying I lost a step.
All we heard about all season long was speed, speed, speed when it comes to Gary Brown. And yeah, we've seen that at times, but there are other times when he's getting to his lead and I'm thinking to myself, what is this guy thinking out there? Is he thinking about the time he spent at Hogwarts School of Wizardry? Because he gets bad jumps and then doesn't steal the base. And I'm thinking to myself, 80 on the 80-80 scale? I just don't see it.
That guy's crazy. He's saying that I can't dance. We all know I'm the best dancer in Virginia.
Look, I love Edwin Quidarte. He's one of the sweetest guys in the world, but he doesn't have any rhythm and balance, and you see that at times on the mound. I mean, this is a guy, I've heard stories from Southern California of him taking the dance floor at a wedding reception and people scattering for fear of having their feet broken.
He should not be talking smack on us.
I mean, he's just set up there judging us all the time. All he does is talk.
Hey, boys!
What's
going on today?
Just got out there.
Hey, I know I gotta wear you guys out sometimes, but will you be willing to help me out tonight?
With what?
We got the Olympics tonight. Who wants to take me out on some Olympic events? I mean, for you guys, it's gonna be easy, right?
I'm in.
Professional athletes.
I'm in.
You know, these guys always underestimate the radio guy. It's one of the things I've dealt with throughout my entire career. They just see me and hear my golden voice and listen to my calls of the game. They don't think I've ever played the game. So I relish opportunities to show them that there was a time when I could pick them up and put them down myself. Track and field champion, field day, elementary school in Iowa is, of course, what I'm talking about. These guys don't know what they're in for.
What you got on that one, Laaser?
Not bad. Now look, it's not like I don't think I can't beat these guys with my pure athletic gifts, but at the same time, I'm from the old school. If you're not cheating, You're not trying. Wrapping this baseball, a little bit of duct tape. Big fella. Can't wait to see the look on his face when I throw this about 5 times as far as his shot put goes. Uh-oh!
I'm pretty fast. This John Laaser, Jonathan Laaser, doesn't stand a chance. I mean, he resembles less of a laser, more of a turtle. He's gonna lose.
Somebody catch this. Tom Vessella, get on him. Come on.
Yeah, you did.
You guys have got to be kidding me. You are finely tuned athletic machines. You've been training for this for the last 4 years, and you're losing to Gingerbeard, pencil neck, know nothing who sits in the air conditioning all day? Edwin, what was that? That's your event. Glor, you could step on him. You can literally step on him. And Gary, plus speed, plus speed.
Not today.
That's what I thought. Plus speed.
Coach Vessella, I didn't eat right last night. I had spicy clam this morning.
I don't want excuses, Edwin.
Who would have thought that Gumby was Jim Thorpe?
I don't want any excuses. You know what? I'll take care of it. I got this one.
Well, I think we all learned a little something about challenging the radio guy in field sports during the Flying Squirrels Olympics here on Flying Squirrels Insider. And now we're back atop the dugout as we film this finale at the Diamond. only fitting that we bring in Tom Vessella, of course, of the Flying Squirrels bullpen, but also, as we know him here, the director and the leader of Vessella Productions. And Tom, thanks for being here, man. Thanks for being such a big part of the show this
Absolutely,
year.
Laaser. Thank you very much. My pleasure.
We didn't necessarily set out this year to make this an SNL-type show, but it morphed into that. It started with the Tommy Joseph segment. I think you saw that. You got on board. We went to the John Gruden sketch, and it just somewhat snowballed from there. But this is a natural thing for you, being from Burbank, California. I know you have a bit of a production-type background.
I do. In the off-season, me and a couple of my friends from high school will make short films, and we've submitted a couple of film festivals, and it's just a lot of fun for me. So I really saw the opportunity to work with you, and it would be something that we all wanted to get on board with.
Things came together perfectly. I've been around a number of baseball teams, and not to disrespect them and their acting ability, but let's put it this way. Not every team has a Chris Glore on it that's willing to be the patsy, for lack of a better term, in a number of these sketches. He's one of your good friends, by the way. How come he always comes off playing the fool?
Well, I will say that a lot of those are his idea. We'll drive home. He's my roommate, and we'll drive home sometime, and he'll come up with an idea. And, what would be funny is if I'm in Parker's cage, or if something else is going on, and he's the one bringing these up. So you can talk all he wants about him always being the fall guy, but it's his idea.
Let's go inside a couple of the segments that our viewers have enjoyed thus far this year. Let's start with what we called Tom Vessella's Pitchers Camp. Now, this was a spoof of John Gruden on ESPN doing his quarterback camp for the draftees going into the NFL. Where did that start from, and how did it evolve into what it became?
A lot of it was just us riffing in the bullpen. Right around the draft, it was John Gruden was on 24/7 on ESPN, and so we started watching it all the time. And Ari and I started messing around in the pen with the voice, and then it just became this thing of it just became this massive ordeal, and it just kept going. And then you got a hold of it and said, "Oh, this is going to be our next Squirrels Insider."
Hesto Presto became a slang term around the clubhouse and also around the RVA. I've heard tales of young girls screaming Hesto Presto up in our Flying Squirrels merchandise store. You said it about 80 times during that sketch, and I think mission accomplished in terms of dubbing him with that new nickname.
It really worked. I still call him Hesto Presto now, and I'm not surprised that everyone else is as well.
Do you realize that it's not necessarily a coincidence that Chris Glore took off the day after you basically beat him mentally into the ground during that segment?
You know what? Sometimes as a pitching coach, you need to know what is going to motivate certain players. And Chris was the kind of guy that needed a little kick in the butt, and that got him going. So I take full credit for his year he's having right now.
What's been cool for me about these segments is, one, I think they're entertaining for the folks.
Absolutely.
They're entertaining for the guys in the clubhouse, I know that. But generally in this position, you sometimes have to twist people's arms to get them to take part in some of this and look foolish on camera. But after we did Tom Vessella's Pitchers Camp and people saw how funny that was, a number of the guys came up to me and said, I want to be a part of the funny one. Why don't I ever get to be a funny one? Why do I have to come in and talk about my family and all that stuff for these studio segments? So we said, okay, let's involve as many people as we can, and that's really where the relievers came from.
Well, just naturally the relievers, I think, have that kind of showman quality to them, and we were always having a lot of fun, and that's where the idea for the bullpen one came into it. And then, obviously, people see that and not want to be a part of that, and they said, oh, this could be a lot of fun.
We didn't tag Whack an Intern Revealed as a Vessella production because the bullpen guys didn't appear in that one, but you and I went back and forth on it. You definitely had a hand in that one as well. Mike Murphy, who's out leading this baseball camp, now had a hand in it. It's become something where almost everybody's involved, and we're really going to get some new people involved here today, too.
Today's going to be a good one. I think once they saw it, that more and more people, we're going to have Gary Brown in it, which is always going to be good. I think people want to see those type of guys and the type of personalities that we are.
In this business, we create stars, sometimes intentionally, sometimes inadvertently. I think a little bit of both. We wanted to go this direction with Edwin Quirarte because you and I both know his personality very well. He's been here for the last couple of years, and we knew he'd bring a certain energy. I think we were a bit shocked at just how much energy he's going to bring, but now that we know that, he'll play a very integral role again today.
Hey, Edwin's lightning in a bottle. You just got to try and catch it and hold on. He is the best actor we have in the clubhouse by far. I know Johnny Munnell would argue with me, but I guarantee it, Edwin's the best.
Well, Johnny Munnell has not been in a sketch. That's not a coincidence.
Yeah, exactly.
He just goes Scarface on everything, regardless of the role that we give him.
Right, but he's great, and he's a great sport about it. We'll kind of give him an idea, and really just, Edwin, be funny. Like, we want you to do this, or we want you to do this, and he just kind of runs with it, and he can naturally make people laugh.
Real quick, Tom, before we run out of time on this season of Flying Squirrels Insiders, baseball going quite well for you this year. We've weaved this in and around, really a statement season for you. But if baseball doesn't work out, you and me, comedy writing team?
Absolutely, without question, the brain trust.
Tom Vessella, Vessella Productions. He has been a huge part of this show, maybe bigger than we realized it was going to be, but it's turned into a great thing. Look for more from him. Even as he advances through the Giant system, we'll consult via phone and maybe even Skype for the 2013 season of Flying Squirrels Insider. That's about a wrap for the 2012 season. Thanks to our entire crew. They're out here with us today making this happen at the Diamond. They've been making it happen all throughout the season, including our producer and director, Craig Keaton. For my broadcast partner, Anthony Oppermann, again for Tom Vessella, all the players and coaches that have been a part of it throughout the season, and of course our sponsors. My thanks for joining us today and all season long on Flying Squirrels Insider.
Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by Virginia College Savings Plan. Save for tomorrow's higher education expenses with Virginia 529's 4 flexible tax-advantaged college savings plans. Details at virginia529.com. And by the Greater Richmond Chamber Save Low Fares campaign. Richmond is in danger of becoming one of America's most expensive airports again. Flying AirTran, Southwest, and JetBlue supports airline competition. Details at savelowfares.com. And by Haley Buick GMC, located at 9811 Midlothian Turnpike, offering new and pre-owned vehicles, financing options, service, parts, and accessories. HaleyBuickGMC.com, taking it to the streets.